Good morning, everybody. This is Roger. Today I decided to organize this small live and talk to you about something that I have observed in my 20 for many years actually. And but this time it became something very apparent that I wanted to have this live talk and to talk to you about it. It is about the very realization that I had in my work with some of the CEOs that I work with. And one thing that I noticed, and this actually came to me after because of the work that I did with many people actually. And I realized I worked with these CEOs, starting first from the person I worked with from Sweden. She was a Rwandese woman that I worked with. She lives in Stockholm, Sweden. And I think I talked about that a little bit here in some of my posts on Facebook here. And also I had worked with another lady from Mali, and I worked with they're all ladies, by the way, another lady from Cuba. But I worked with a considerable number of people, but I had this few people that I work with that happen to be very kind of different in kind of the result that I have with them. And it became very apparent to me some of the things that I learned, the things that happened, and I was asking myself, why some of the things happen you don't understand. You ask yourself why the things are happening. And this lady from Mali was actually the most apparent example that I had about this. And recently, that thought kind of came to me. I don't know, sometimes these things happen to me. I was sitting here and asking myself, this may be true, right? The thought comes to me, and it usually happens around me to pick a pen and write it and try to understand what's happening. But it was because the lady from Mali, for example, she had gotten on stage in various countries. Ever since it started back then, we had this talk that she had a speech in Kenya actually to deliver. She had never spoken in English anywhere, and she wasn't feeling comfortable by herself. And I said that we're gonna do it. She's like, we can't do this. But ever since I think I got her to give that speech in Kenya, she had gone on to have interviews in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and she had gone to England for important occasions. She had come back. She's more confident, and now she's working with a couple of people in South Africa. And this is a person who before never could do any of the things. Now, sometimes when you see somebody change so dramatically, is it because the person's been taking training from you? Usually the answer is, for me, I know the answer is not yes. Because I can experience the person over the time, what is happening, and etc. Maybe the person think because they've been doing training with the right person. Usually not that they are the right person. Of course, I'm the right person for everybody I meet, and not that somebody that different. But it's because certain things that happen. And this lady from Rwanda, that the same thing. For me, it was very strange. This lady had Rwanda first back then, they're speaking French, but she had gone on to study in Kenya. Before going to Stockholm, Sweden. So she didn't really have anything to envy. And then the other lady I got from Cuba, they all have a very special situation that, got me to be thinking about what should I be doing for these people. Mostly, the first time when I had them on the phone, it's usually kind of hard for me to imagine, what am I going to do for these people? Because mostly, they had most of the things that people would need to avoid actually being a 20. And for some reasons, they wanted to be with me. And also they had something important. This lady from Cuba, she had moved to the United States in 2021. And at the time we were talking in 2023, she had been in America actually for 2 years. She lived in Texas. I mean, why would you be in Texas and you would need so much help? And I was asking myself questions, but they turned out to be great friends over the years. the lady from Rwanda, I post about her. I don't know if the lady from Mali, I post about her. The lady from Cuba, mostly I don't post about her because you see mostly she shared my posts on Facebook. We have great friends ever since. She taught me a lot about Cuba. But the thing that I noticed, and this really became fundamental for what I did, it's very simple that the people that I work with, I don't remember a number. I work with very famous people that I just mentioned. I just come with the people that have been kind of very special cases, not because they turned out to be special people, but it wasn't because they were special, it's because they had special cases that I began to think about them a little bit in a very different form, and they happen to be very important ways to learn lessons from those people. I realized that when people came to me for training, usually I could sit down, have just a few minute conversation with them, and I can tell who is going to succeed and who is not going to succeed before we even start the work. And that happens to be strange. Like, if somebody will getting training with me, and I said to that person, you're not going to succeed, that's very strange because that's what you're supposed to be doing. And when I say to some people, I know that you're going to succeed. My friend Kuma was one of the guys for the who got the training, very low level, but he turned out to be a very successful leader. And I knew he was going to succeed. I had a lot of people that I could tell. He didn't have a special case. Okay, he was to honorary kids from Christian things. So normally he had most of the things that would be required for the person to succeed. But for those people, they came to me very new, and I was wondering about what I can do for them because they came from countries I wasn't very familiar with, Rwanda and Mali and Cuba. They happen to be very different countries from where I grew up and where I lived most of my life. I've never been to Rwanda before, never been to Cuba, never been to Mali, and those people are coming to you, and you need to understand their psychology so that you can help them. How do you help those people with those situations? So I was thinking about that, and I said to myself, I need to do something. And what I saw was that the reason I was able to understand that somebody would succeed and the other person wouldn't succeed, it wasn't also depending on the level they came with, because Kuma had a very low level. Some had come to me with very good English level, and they haven't gotten there very much anywhere. And that creates some confusion about what is actually happening, what is the most important thing. And if you can tell the result of the training before even the training starts, then should people be taking training in the first place? And in most cases, nobody not, right? If I could tell you will succeed or not, if I could tell you will succeed or not, then why you start? Like, I predict your future. But there were certain elements that were creating that situation where a person would be predictable before we even started training. And that happened to be something very fundamental, simple, right? It was that people that have come, that have succeeded, they normally weren't people who needed training. Maybe they needed me for something else. They didn't need English training. Because remember, I never took any training. But they had something fundamentally different. And that was because they usually had been treating the training as very optional. There were people who, for some reason, were not just coming to do training to do training. They were going somewhere with their life. They are working on certain important things. For example, in my case, if maybe some of you are familiar with the thing that I do, many years before I actually taught anything, I had envisioned myself as somebody who belongs to the international stage and who is not going to be learning just the language, but he was going to be preparing himself to be somebody in the world and famous and traveling around the world and doing important things. And once you view yourself that way, you don't treat training as something that, okay, I'll do training and I'll stop. You are continuously working because you view yourself as somebody, this is what I am. This is what I do, and not stopping anywhere soon. They'll be doing that for many, many years. Actually, one of my students from Paris has been working with me over a year or two now. And they don't just keep training to stop. It's a continuous progress. If you Ronaldo, for example, has been going to the gym ever since you can remember. It doesn't stop. It doesn't matter vacation. But the second group, people who come who never succeed. They are come for training that they will take for like maybe a few months or whatever, whether it's 8 weeks or 2 weeks or 12 weeks, and they will do that training and they will stop. Very strange. They will say next month, or I have important projects coming, so now I want to take this training now, so that when I finish, I'll be able to move on to the things that are coming. Maybe I want to go on a trip, or I have some important work coming at the company. It makes sense to them that they will do training now, they'll be good, and they will stop, and then they'll move to other things. Those people never succeeded, and it can never appear to me that it was this reason why people would not succeed. But now, when I got the idea of last time, it became really easy to understand, because if you come and I tell you, for example, that you want to go to the gym and you want to have a good body, you come, the training program is actually let's say 3 months, and we're gonna work out, and then work out. You're like, yeah, right now let's work out. Even if you work out every day for 3 months, and then after that you want to be free, so you can move on with your life, and you're not gonna do those things anymore. And if that's your approach, not maybe in a 3 months you make some progress, you have a good body and all of that. But after the training, if you go back to your normal life, then a year or two later, you can't expect to have a good body anymore. You used to go to the gym in the past, and you had a good body, but now you're not gonna have a good body anymore. And that was these people. And I seen this to be the case actually for, like, if you're Muslim, the month of Ramadan is actually a great month where everybody stopped doing bad things. People go to mosques and they fast, they do great things, etc. But that's actually going to be temporary for that period, 1 month where they happen to be good. And when they finish, the day even what they doing the celebration, some people don't some people don't even pray. They direct the night, they go to the nightclub, they catch up with the girlfriend. You know, this has been a very long time we didn't meet. so now we got to have a great time. And guess what? You think a few months later these people are going to be good people than just the way they were doing the Ramadan? No. And the reason why, because they were working, there was something in them that probably was supposed to change, and it didn't change. Now, it doesn't mean because I don't like Muslims. The Christians do the same thing when they go on this spiritual retreat that would last sometimes 10 days, 2 weeks. They're good people in those periods, but after that, you just like that. And most trainings have been like that, where people work, and they make some progress. Normally, it's very surprising. Almost, maybe I'm not this guy, I don't know what other people do in their training, but I think if somebody comes, they have some good results, and they do training, then even if it's free training, they charge some money, isn't decently good. And if the right people come to training, they should make progress, because some of the people that I know, they never paid any money for any training, but they succeeded. And so in most cases, the training is not the real problem. The real problem is the person coming to take the training and the understanding they have between themselves and the person that's doing the training. And that's why most people be in trainings and they're not going to get anywhere. So that major difference is the thing that it didn't occur to my mind this will be the real issue. And now that I understand, I decided that I want to organize a program around that. And this is probably so far the most, I don't even know, it's a huge discovery that I had, a massive program, because I thought about that myself, because it's not just about the English thing, it's the other thing that I want to do that I haven't been able to do ever since, and I've been working on it. There's a certain thing that I started that didn't continue, and I asked myself, why didn't continue, right? Because there's certain thing you continue, the others you don't get to continue, and you don't know why. And I organized this training around that, and this is the problem we're going to solve, because like if I knew back then, if I knew this, then I'll make sure that everybody succeeds. Because the people that have succeeded, that I work with that have succeeded, they have turned out to be great friends to this day. The people that I talk about in Cuba, the people that I talk about in France, the people in Mali, in Kenya, and Sweden, and with all the people that I talked about, Rwanda, we all happen to have a great relationship beyond most of the things that we have talked about in training. We happen to have families together. We happen to have, I remember the lady from Rwanda wanted me to marry a daughter in Sweden. And that was a great thing, because maybe they have seen me some kind of magic, how can you do that? I've been struggling, because they've been 20 many years actually. But sometimes I didn't really know what I did for them. And for the lady from Rwanda, I didn't know. For this Cuban lady, they happened to just love me, that I'd done a miracle for them, and I didn't know. And maybe one of the major components that I want to involve in what I'm going to mention here is usually one thing that I've done. I organized the entire program actually. One thing that I've done successfully well, has been to get them to do the thing that they never imagined possible for themselves. I met a lady recently in Côte d'Ivoire, and I said to her that when you come into training with me, I'm gonna get you to do something for yourself that you never imagined possible. She looked at me. Are you gonna do that? And that's what I'm gonna do. Not because of magic, because when I look at people, I could see in them what's missing. And in most cases, it's not really an English problem. It is some fundamental belief that they have about themselves, maybe because of the way they grew up. I've gotten to understand where they grew up. These people usually are kind of part of some minority community, whether it was Rwanda or Mali or Cuba. That's why I got to understand the psychology of the countries later. I understood why they had the kind of problem that they had. But the lady I'm talking about, she had a kind of a similar situation. I said, I'm going to get you to do something you never imagined possible for yourself before. And once you do that for them, now, because looking back, I can understand why they see me as a magician. Because you have been marginalized in your country before, in your work before, you haven't gotten very much anywhere. And somebody, young kid from a country you maybe don't know, comes out and they get you to dominate the world in like a few days, and you're asking yourself, how did they do that? They look back and they just happen to be in love with me, and they couldn't imagine things impossible for them, but they mostly did it. I don't do a lot of things for people. I get people to do the thing that because I remember my first time in 2019, I gave my first speech in Morocco. I can never forget that day when I was able to impress the entire the way I've never felt that I belonged before. It changes the way you feel by yourself, and it changes a lot of things. There are things that you never forget. And those women will never forget me for the things that we did together, but they did it. And this is the kind of thing that I'm going to be doing right now with the people from all of the other countries that they're going to join this program. So next week, I'm going to announce the beginning of the program and how this is going to work actually, and what are the conditions, everything to join, and the people that have this kind of situation, going for international things, that have been struggling for many years. They're not feeling good. I have met this guy who was running to become the head of African Bank of Development, African Development Bank, right? And he's from Senegal. He studied in the United States. And even when people study in the United States, it doesn't change that for them. And some of the reason, I think this lady studied in Kenya, the other women from the other countries studying in the United States. It doesn't happen to be changing. It doesn't tend to be changing the situation they have. And how do people study in English-speaking university and they still come back with the feeling by themselves? Yeah, I don't care. These are the things that are very fundamental. You need to understand to be working with people. So we'll stop that here. I don't know. And we're meeting next week. where I will show you the actually the full component of training is what we're going to be doing together to make that a possibility for the people that want to be part of this. And that will be it. Bye bye. Have a great weekend, and I will see you probably on Saturday next week to talk about this in full detail.